Hello, everyone. Good evening. Trust we're doing great. I want to see you join. I think yes, we're live on TikTok. We're live on Instagram. We're live on YouTube also. So, in any place you're joining us from, so glad to see you. It's gonna be an intensive session this evening. To be honest, it's going to be really, really great. Yep. Okay, where are we joining from? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just waiting for us to join. I want us to, you know, join. You can share the link with your friends, with your families. Yes, I can see Blessing joining from Uyo in Nigeria. Nice to have you, Blessing. Yes, I'll just give it 1 or 2 minutes, then I kickstart. Just want to share 1 or 2 lessons that I've learned in my own journey, right? Where everyone is on a journey to growth. If you ask anyone, today's one, you want to become great, they will tell you yes. The difference is that how many people become really great in life. So that's the point we're talking about. That we can learn from those that have gone ahead, we can glean into their wisdom, right? Many of the things that I've learned personally in my own journey, my own growth, are things that I've learned from mentors, learned from leaders, I've learned from different role models and in different settings. So, such an opportunity for me to share 1 or 2 things that I believe will help a student, will help an emerging leader today. Yes, thank you, Peace. I can see Peace from Nigeria. Nice to have you. Where are my UK audience? Okay, let's share the link. Just want to share the link. Join live on Instagram. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So nice to have you join me on this life lesson series. And I just believe that if it goes well today, I'll have this as a series, right, where I can just come talk about questions, talk about different journeys in life, right? And I've been thinking about what do I share to my audience this evening. There are so many lessons to share. But one of the first, so I have some few things that I've scripted down this evening. One of the things that I wrote down is that life is not fair, but it is predictable. So if you're going to be taking note this evening, you can take note of that. That life in itself is not fair, but it is predictable, right? And a lot of people live with that illusion that, or with that disappointment on why they are the rich people, the upper class, and they are the lower class, right? And especially as an emerging leader, as a young person, you generally start off life based on the antecedents of your parents or of your guardians, right? So, for example, you live you have a better standard of living if you came from a rich family, from a well-to-do family, versus if you came from a struggling family, right? You don't get to choose where you came from. But as you go across in life, you become an adolescent, you become a young adult and elder, you begin to look like your decisions, like your choices you've made, right? So life is not fair. That's the one of the first lessons you should learn. And I was speaking to the cohort guys um, yesterday. I said, in today's world, especially in our world today, 2026, right, you cannot get to the top by just being compliant, by just fitting in. You have to be positively rebellious, number one. You've heard me say that many times. You have to be paranoid. That's the word. So, for heavy of you that have joined me in live this evening, you have to be paranoid to take your lot into this life, because think about it, for all the opportunities that you want to you know make use of, you want to be able to take advantage of, there are many people that want that same opportunity as you. So in today's world, opportunities are limited to the survival of the fittest. That means you have to innovate and invent ways of achieving results, of getting the things you want done, not just by following the curriculum. So that's one of the major life lessons that I think I've learned, and I think you should learn, that life is not fair, but it is predictable. That means once you begin to take intentional actions and you make choices and decisions, you cannot predict the outcome, right? Life is not fair. That's why when you look at the scope of things, right? Look at a continent like Africa, now gazing into countries like Uganda, Congo, for example, DRC Congo, they are the most richest country in terms of natural resource. But tell me which country is the poorest country? Congo, right? Because a country that is so rich in natural resource with underdeveloped human resources still as poor. And that's why I say a country like the United Kingdom that is not so rich in natural resource, but they are so big on human resource. You see them ruling. Think about the number of countries that the UK colonized in their time, right? The British Empire. The difference was not just the natural resource, but the human resource. They're speaking about the quality of the mindsets. And for many of you that are based in the diaspora, UK, US, you see the mentality of an average Caucasian versus the mentality of an average African, not because either of one is better or disadvantaged, but just because of being around that kind of environment. And for example, you're Ghanaian, you're South African, you're Nigerian, you're Zambian, you've traveled over to the US or to UK, you begin to think and act in that way. So what am I trying to derive in essence? That for you to be able to predict outcomes from your life, right, you must intentionally put yourself in an environment. That's what I spoke about at the SPM Masterclass. Many of you in the midst to leave your comfort zone and leaving your habitats. So as at now, you speak to an average Nigerian about global destiny, about a global mandate, about thinking big, about quitting survival, about getting into thriving. He cannot imagine that because the survival race has caught up with him. I was speaking to a close, relative of mine. We're speaking about the price of fuel in Nigeria now. That's about 1,000, I think 400 never per liter. And in that kind of system whereby minimum wage, maybe I think about 70,000 or so, that kind of system has kept you bound. Yeah. And you would think maybe, oh, the UK is any more different. For example, the US, but people work and trade their hours just to be able to survive, to make ends meet. So many people are waiting for fairness. Life doesn't always reward effort immediately. And guys, I want you to pay attention because I'm just starting on that lighter note, because there are many things I'm going to be sharing in the next 15, 20 minutes that's going to really benefit you, right? So if you plant consistently, in fact, eventually you will reap. If you develop yourself, opportunities eventually will come. That's the predictable part of life. So many people spend more time on the unpredictable factors. Oh, my background. Oh, my family. I don't have money. But what are you doing in terms of taking actions to change your lifestyle? Are we getting a point? I want to see comments on Instagram and on YouTube that were following me. I want to see, because sometimes it can lag. I think the network lags. I need to say that we're following me, we're attentive, so that I know that I'm not wasting my time this evening, because I know it's quite late. Everyone has gone, for their different jobs, but we just thought to sort of have that catch-up moment. So I want to see, this is quite informal, right? So yeah, this is a step down from last Thursday's webinar. Yes. So the question I'm going to ask you is, are you building your life based on luck or based on principles? That's it. Are you building your life based on luck or based on principles? Yes, thank you, Naomi. On Instagram, I can see Naomi joined. I can see Mr. Okafor joined. I can see Noah19 joined. Thank you for joining. I know it's going to be an awesome time this evening. The second point is that nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is coming to save you. Especially if you're an adult that you're above 18 years. Nobody is going to save you. Your destiny is in your hand, not in the hands of any government, any church, any religious setting, any parents. It's in your hand. Like I said, you start off, living life based on the antecedent of those that bore you, your parent or your guardian. But as you grow across in life and you become an adult, you begin to look like your decisions and the choices you've made. So it may sound harsh, but it is liberating to know that nobody will have your best interest at heart like you do. Blessing on YouTube. No one is going to have your best interest at heart. Not even your coach, not even your mentor, not even your boss. You're the one. You're the one. So many people spend their years waiting for government, for their family, looking for validation, the perfect conditions. But meanwhile, those making progress are taking responsibility. Let me tell you guys, you don't need any permission to get into the driving seats of your destiny. Yeah. You don't need any permission to say, oh, can I get the keys? You have to grab the keys of your destiny and get into that steering and move that wheel to the place of destiny. Am I communicating anything this evening, or should I just... Yes, I can see Samuel from the UK. Exactly. Guys, responsibility is the price of transformation. Honestly, today I was in the office, right? I was speaking to one of my colleagues, so we just had a catch up. It's been a while since last year. I just saw that's why he's become a manager, agile delivery manager. I was like, wow, this is really great. I was like, I need to put a call with you. I need to know how did you get it right. That's another lesson there. This is my mate. I could have said, oh, is it not just luck? Is it not just... No, I humbled myself. I thought, I need to speak to you. And I was there asking questions like an Ivan Ramos, like I'm not even a coach. I had to learn. I have 3 action points and I'm going to work on. I said, I'm going to come back to you to come and learn some things, and he showed me some things. And truly, the difference between where you are and where you want to be is a knowledge gap. The question is that will you fill that knowledge gap with knowledge, or will you continue making excuses? Because I'm at the point in my career where I want to scale to the next level. I've prayed about it, right? I know I can command more returns in terms of salary, in terms of earnings, but that's just emotional. What value am I bringing? I'm on a value hunt now. Guys, are you getting the lessons? You want to change your position, you want to change where you are currently. Stop thinking about, oh, what do I get from this system? Think about what can you contribute. I'm on a value hunt now to start integrating different software tools. Excel, I'm turning to a dashboard with AI powered softwares. I got the moral access to be able to do different dashboards and flow chart and all of that. And that's a project I have to start doing. But that's what it takes. My manager is not going to come tell me, I'll come and do this to get promoted. No, I have to take that responsibility. Not many things will be spelled out in life. You have to be able to read beyond the smoke screen and see beyond the surface. And I won't make it any sense this evening, guys. Exactly. Thank you, Blessing. Yeah, it's the truth. The moment you stop blaming and start owning, your situation and growth begins. That's it. Don't complain anymore, guys. Start taking responsibility. You can really change your life. Just today, a few of my mentees shared testimony of the actions they've taken from yesterday's session. I told them, you need to meet this deadline, right? My mentees, and one of them shared, oh, I've done this, I've been procrastinating for a month now. After yesterday, I'm like, wow, this is it, being held accountable, right? But there's that part whereby I hold you accountable, but there's a part whereby you become responsible. Are you getting the point now? There's me holding you accountable, there's you becoming responsible. Because even if I hold you accountable, you're not responsible, it's going to turn to naught because I can't force you. The same way you can lobby, you can encourage the horse to get to the river, accountability, guidance, coaching, mentorship, but you can't force the horse to drink water. That's that personal responsibility. And that's the missing link with a lot of people. Many of you think, oh, I don't have access to this knowledge. Meanwhile, there are people all around you in your place of work, maybe in your school, around you, your seniors, your parents, that you could glean on their wisdom. But the difference is that will you humble yourself to ask? And that's what I call intellectual humility. You have to be intellectually humble because no man knows everything. Like I said in the webinar, 1 Corinthians 8 verse 2. If any man thinks he knows, let him know that he doesn't know as he ought to know. As your coach, there are many things I don't know. And that's why I'm so curious to learn. Every day, I don't care about whether you're my superior or my junior or something. So far, I humble myself because I know what I know. You can't take away what I know from me. But the difference is that there are so many things that I don't know, and those are the things that limit us. So responsibility. The third life lesson that I'm going to share if I'm speaking to my younger self is that your network determines your altitude in life. That's the truth. That's the truth. I've been so paranoid about the quality of friendships in today's world, right? And I'm so intentional because Bible says something that iron sharpeneth iron. Think about that if you're in the midst of hot iron, the propensity and probability to become cold will be really low. But if you're in the midst of cold iron, even if you're hot, you automatically they will draw from your heat, isn't it? And you become cold. Are we making any sense this evening, guys? Honestly. People underestimate relationships. One conversation can change your life. That's me, getting to BT, a little foundation relationship. When I started it, right? Let me tell you guys why most people don't play the long game is because they are so myopic. Oh, what's the need for me in the now? But relationship, you have to know how to invest in relationship. And if you're talking about investing in relationship, that means you are giving there's a probability of risk there. There is no any worthy investment that's not got a measure of risk. What is the risk there? The risk of loss, isn't it? Whether total loss or partial loss, right? See, you get what I mean, guys. So that many people they want that absolute guarantee, 100%. And that is why many people fall into scam, isn't it? The Ponzi scheme and all of that. They promise 100% guarantees. Even stocks and shares and all of this investment, there's still a measure of risk. Those are the things that makes it legit, right? Because there is no any system does not go a loophole. So those loopholes are risk. What you can do is to reduce the margin of risk, like the same way I spoke about procrastination. You can't necessarily eliminate risk in any portfolio investment, right? So also in investing in relationship, that means as an investor, there are some relationship that you might invest in that may not yield the returns on investment. Some people might not really reward your value, design your value, receive your care, your attention, your loyalty. Does that mean that relationship investment is bad? No, it just means that there's a measure of risk, and you as an investor, you get better with time, with consistent effort. So, for example, you start investing in a relationship, you meet somebody at work, you start investing. Within 3 months or 6 months, they've broken the breach. There's a breach of trust or confidentiality and all of those things. You learn from that experience. But does that mean you stop relating with people? No. You go again relate to another person, but now you learn not to divulge confidential information at the early stage, or you are discreet in your communication. But does that mean you don't need anybody? No. No man is an island. Are we getting the point now? You need relationship. Your network determines your attitude. So think about it. That's what we spoke about at the cohort yesterday, that people should add at least 5 different people in their niche. So whether on LinkedIn or Instagram, add new people that you can engage with to say, oh, I see what you're doing. This is what you're doing. Oh, I appreciate what you're doing. Comment on their post and all of that. Let them see you. And more than just commenting, get to know them, be in their DMs. Because God is going to answer your prayer, but He might not necessarily come down. He's going to send men, isn't it? So you have to know how to, befriend men. Are we getting the point now this evening? Show me your closest relationship and I can predict your future direction. That's it. Are we getting the point now? I'm just giving us time to sort of recap on what has been shared. I need feedback. I need feedback that we're following, we're engaging. Any comment that is striking to us. Yes. Another life lesson, the fourth life lesson, is that discipline beats motivation. And I've been saying this, right? Many people don't know how much battle they have to fight, especially if they've come from an average background, that's not really got that leverage in terms of resources, influence or a name. And they jinx around life, right? Until you discover that, wow, I'm 30 years, I'm 40 years, no leverage. Yes, you're alive, but in terms of moving forward and achieving your purpose and goals, that's a struggle. That's not even, it's not even in the radar because they are not disciplined. Jesus Christ said something in John 9, verse 4. I must walk the works of him that's called me while it is day. So irrespective of my feelings, I must walk the work that I need to do while it is that time. So many people do things outside of time. And I think I shared it in one of the webinars last year, that we have a group of people that do the wrong thing at the right time, number one. Some do the right thing at the wrong time. The third set of people do the wrong thing at the wrong time. Only a few do the right thing at the right time. So the question is, which one are you? For example, now I know a couple of my colleagues that are trying to travel out now, but this is generally in terms of the global scope of things, right? In today's global economy, it's quite a very toxic time to travel to any country. Canada, the majors, US, UK, and some of these countries bringing restrictions. Does that mean that there will be restrictions for life? No, it will still ease off. But this window from last year to this year, because of different administrations, look at the UK government having their own crisis in terms of inflation, in terms of immigration. Look at US with President Trump's, policies, and Canada. So it's really a bad time to travel. Meanwhile, last 6 years, that's why you call it the jackpot wave. That there was that window of opportunity, and that was what I discussed at Overcoming Procrastination. There are three types of time in life: preparation time, opportune time, and appointed time. You must know how to prepare. For example, many people, for example, are not preparing for the opportunities. There's the AI conversation going on, the AI revolution going on. Not many people are upscaling themselves. They are still focusing on traditional skills. They are still thinking traditional skills will be enough in the next 10 years. No, unfortunately. And I'm serious. Because innovation follow global technology and finance, right? So, for example, once the big companies, organization begin to pivot towards AI, other smaller companies will begin to scale, right? And before you know it, AI has now become a way of life. The same way there's always been innovations of different technologies, the phone, the iPhone, laptop, what else again? Different things. First of all, it becomes hard because of the capital, the cost of ownership, of trailblazing, of pathfinding. But once they get into that system, there's what we call economies of scale, right? Then they begin to scale it to make it accessible. And that's where AI is going to. But how many of us are preparing ourselves? Many of us are procrastinating. I'm going to take this course. I'm going to do this. Guys, we need to wake up. So, for example, in the primarily in that cohort, we're bringing in an AI expert and specialist for the next session, for example, right? He's going to become training us on how to create dashboards with AI. Different stuffs with AI. Did we get the point now? So, discipline always beats motivation. The question is, are you disciplined enough? I wonder when people say they're disciplined enough, because on a normal day, you like yourself, isn't it? If you sleep tonight and you don't read the book that you have always wanted to read, you will not beat yourself. But if you're held accountable to a superior system, and that's what mentorship does. You make yourself accountable to a higher system so that you have that sort of LD pressure to be able to perform. I can see Mrs. Chidima. How are you doing, Mrs. Chidima? Nice to have you join us. You won't always feel like studying, like walking, like exercising, like praying, but you just have to set those systems in place. So, for example, I've been struggling to lose weight for quite a while now. Why I did also set systems in place. I started playing football because I don't want to lose my money. I pay in advance. I pay 1 month in advance. So once it's Wednesday, I know that, wow, I'm not going to lose my money this evening. I have to go and play football. But if I was thinking about just exercising, I've lost so much weight and I've become fitter just by leveraging systems, by being disciplined. Guys, I want to share something important with you. Just let me know you're listening. Just say yes, we are here. Then I'll continue. Something really important. Yes, I'm waiting for the answers. Yes, thank you, Kunle. Anyone else on Instagram, on YouTube? Yes, exactly. Yes, I can see Samaluka. Yes, thank you for that. There are two school of thoughts, right? And these are things you will not find anywhere. These are my contemplations, right? So if you look at today's world, I mean, I know many of you are young, right? You're young, you're in your 20s, you're in your early 30s. And I know you must have been asking yourself a question about how do I really become great in today's world? How do I make sure that I don't end up when I'm 40, 50 years suffering? What do I do to really be, I've been listening to Coach Ayo, he's been sharing so many things, motivation, personal development, and I'm willing, but I don't know what to do. Yeah, parents, not really doing much in terms of financially, so I can't really say, I'm just traveling out or I have this money to start up this business, right? So what's the ratio of me achieving success? What's the margin? I'm gonna tell you guys, life is, like I said, life is a battlefield. Life is difficult in today's world. And that's why most of my messages are quite redemptive, right? In terms of redeeming time, redeeming opportunities, more motivational, is more of encouraging people that what you see, you can actually break the jinx, right? So my message will generally appeal to certain group of people, which is fine. Maybe as I become, you know, many times when you start off in life, you're quite innocent and humble and all of that. Maybe when you begin to have some level of successes, and generally, not to blame anybody, you begin to pivot towards where the opportunities are, where the money is. That's the rule of life, and that's why instead of us to be complaining here that oh these people, these rich people, my own motivation is that I'll become rich so that I'll become these people rather than missing these people. Do you get the logic now? It's gonna be difficult, but all the things I'm sharing, you can go and watch replay again. These are the things. It's here now. I have it here, isn't it? Discipline beats motivation. Become disciplined. Don't tolerate nonsense. Don't be that person that does anyhow. In your dressing, be neat, be clean. If you have one bedroom, take care of that bedroom. If you can't take care of that bedroom, God is checking. Oh, can I give this person a house because he can't even take care of his personal affair? Take care of your own personal self, your grooming. That's what makes you become a leader when you have 5 people under you, 10 people under you, 100 people under you, right? Your network determines your attitude. Get to meet people. All this, I'm an introvert. It can't take you. Introvert, it doesn't take anybody anywhere. I'm not saying be extroverted and now be everywhere. Like I always say, share your stories, but remove the drama, and the stigma part of it. I've gone through some trauma and all of those things. How many of those things do you hear online? Except from the ones I know that this will not come back to haunt me. For example, when I mentioned I've been expelled, right, from full time years ago. Yes, it's quite traumatic for me then, but now I've healed from it and it's now become a success story. So it doesn't really, but don't go and share. Oh, for example, I was given a context on at the last webinar when Blessing asked the question about sharing story and said no. For example, a lady that has been maybe raped before and has not healed from it, you have to be discreet in sharing about those kind of emotional and deep issues, right? The second one is nobody's coming to save you, taking that responsibility. The first one is life is not fair. Life is a battlefield, but it's predictable through your actions, right? So what I want to share with you guys, right, is that as of now, many of you have traditional skills. Do you get the point now? So an average young African, right? Maybe not African. An average young person to this world is educated, so has got a degree, whether um secondary school, bachelor's degree, right, or a master's degree or PhD, right? They have all these things. But look at where today's world is going, right? There are three indices I want you to begin to view the world from. In everything you do, view it from these three parameters. Number one, global inflation. Number two, the AI revolution. And number three, immigration changes and policies. These three things determine the grand scheme of things. These are high level classifications. Every other thing like job markets, like, those things not fit underneath it. For example, let's use job market, for example. The jobs are available to you if you're in Nigeria. Because UK and US are not bringing in immigrants anymore, they will resort to remote working. So I presume that there will be a lot of remote opportunities. And I mentioned it at the emotional intelligence webinar with Coach Mitchell about 6 months ago, that many of you end up working with Caucasians, with white people. Are you prepared to be able to start speaking in that language, right? They are not just say, my name is, you're speaking like you're speaking to your daddy's brother, your daddy, your cousin as a Nigerian, but you're speaking to an Indian, to a Turkish person, to an American, to a Canadian. There's a way you speak. There's some contexts that you have to be able to use and make use of, borrowed experiences, even though your lived experiences is in Nigeria, or you're in Nigeria and your live experience is Nigerian, right? You have to know how to gain contexts. For example, the kind of movies you watch. You cannot say you're in Nigerian, you only fit, like I look at my statement, only. I'm not saying don't watch Nigerian movies, because there are things to learn, their culture, character, and just general relaxation. But you cannot say your total lived experience is only things in Nigeria. You don't watch any movies, you don't follow the news, you don't know a few trends, right, going on outside of your world, outside of your scope of environment. You see these things. So you must begin to pitch all these things. So there will be remote jobs. That's looking at how job is linked to general immigration. And look at what's his name now? Global inflation. Things are expensive everywhere in the world now, right? Things are very expensive. That means companies, for example, like BT that I work for, iPhone, for example, they have their factories in India, in China, because they're trying to maintain economies of scale. They want to be able to produce more at lower productive costs versus if they are paying in dollars or in pounds. Do you get the logic now, guys? So that means they'll be gleaning into third world countries. They've invaded in India now. In my company, for example, wow, in terms of the tech hub is in Bangalore. What do they call it? Yeah, Bangalore and Bengaluru. You see that? So they've positioned themselves in that instance. And that's where Africa needs to get to, right? So view life from this strata, like I said, global inflation, immigration policies, and the AI revolution. So think about it, that which one is in my favor. So mark yourself as this thing, that if it's time of immigration, for example, some of you guys have Nigerian passports. Check how many countries you have access to. The top main countries like US, Canada, UK, they're quite strict now to Nigerians, to Africans, right? Do you see but you can begin to explore other countries that have that bit of opening. There are other European countries that may not be as strict as this, and you may get similar kind of opportunity. So don't be stuck in that limbo of US, Canada, and UK, when you can outsource some of these opportunities that are here in other places. Look at the limitations of your passports. And the AI revolution. There's the AI conversation. I believe that you don't have to become an AI expert, but you should be able to use the back end process, not just the front end. The front end is the prompt you put on ChatGPT or Claude AI and all of that, Copilot. But you should be able to come back end and put some prompts that produce an outcome front end. And you just need a bit of time, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month. Then that becomes part of your experience that you can add to your traditional skills, because you've gone to school to learn management or business and all of those things. But traditional skills will not take you far into this world. Do you get the point now? The second point, right, is on being a generalist versus being a specialist. And I was having a session with one of our mentees on this, right? That many of the courses that an average African has learned, or most Africans have learned, are mostly generalist courses. So, for example, management, history, mention them for me. Biology. But in biology, there is this general part of it, and there is the specialist part of it. For example, as a microbiologist, for example, in today's world is general, but there's biotechnology. Are you seeing that now? That's a specialist course because you need a measure of tech technology. You need what do they call it now? Technology. You need what again? Data. Those two things you need it to be able to function. So begin to look at courses that you can start doing that has these components, IT infrastructure in it, data and AI. Because every other generalist courses or professions, for you to thrive there, you need to add on these specialist courses or skill sets. That's what I'm doing. See, I'm cracking the code. I know it's not looking even smooth in my head because these are my contemplation. I just thought to share them with you. These are the rules of the game now. So, for example, Naomi is training to become a public health. She's a public health professional. She has got a master's degree, but in the interviews they're not asking of data knowledge and skills and literacy. So she has to now start doing some trainings in data to be able to use data for informed public health decisions and policies. But her general and background and permanent is on public health, but she needs those specialist knowledge as an add-on. So think about it. How many add-ons can you have with your general knowledge? So the Bible says, add to your faith virtue, add knowledge, add love. That's what makes you complete. As at now, many of you are you're not empty, but you are not complete. That's why it looks like opportunities are not coming to you. Are we getting the point now, guys? I'm taking a pause so I could see and people comment and engage. I need to see that we're engaging so that I know if I just stop and just end this by 9 or I know that this is worth it. Because we just finished Thursday's webinar, but I just thought we could still have an informal conversation. So I want to see those engagements. Honestly, it really encourages me. It really, really encourages me. There's no point in me coming to speak to the camera and no one is just engaging. I really appreciate those thumbs up, the comments. Yeah. So guys, yes, thank you, Kunle, for that. Yes, you're with me. Thank you very much for engaging and following. So, like I'm saying, specialist knowledge versus generalist knowledge, really important. Please know something about data analytics, data literacy. Know how to be able to use dashboard to present a table or a report or something. Whether you're a public health professional, whether you're a social media manager, whether you're a business analyst, whether what else, software engineer, you should be able to use data and IT skills. There should be one software tool that you can use aside from the traditional tools you use in your area of expertise. So, for example, you're a social media manager, right? You use CapCut, those are general stuff. You use Canva, you use maybe many charts, but there are other new AI tools that can begin to incorporate and make use of them. That's what increases your value quotient. You go to a company and say, I can do this. For example, email marketing, running ads. You see that it's technical, but that's what's guaranteed because now most companies can outsource these things on a platter of gold. Social media management, for example, on a platter of gold. Yes, platform management now is a general knowledge. There's not any sort of technical, it's more of human relationship skills. Another life lesson is that rejection is often redirection. Yes, there will be rejections in life, there will be no's. But most times, if you can just humble yourself, you will learn from those mistakes and errors, and that's what makes you better. Behind every great person you see out there is there are scars, mistakes. Everybody make mistakes. But the difference is that many people continue making mistakes. They don't learn from their mistakes. Aldous Huxley says something that experience is not what happens to a man. Experience is what a man does with what happens to him. So what are you doing about those mistakes you've made, those errors, those omissions? What are you doing about it? Right? I want to begin to see questions. Have you got any questions for me? Because I want us to end by 9 o'clock. But I'm happy to answer questions. To be honest, guys, for me, I've made that personal covenant that I'm going to really try my possible best in life to, achieve great things. It's not easy, but I'm not going to, look back at my years when I'm 40, when I'm, 50, when I'm 60 and regret so much. There will be a measure of, I should have done this, but let it be that for your major life goals and, purposes, you don't have that total regret. Yes. Hello, this Samonis. That's one of my wonderful clients, my mentee, Mr. Samuel. Nice to have you join us. Right. And I used that example at last week webinar. I said the late and respected Dr. Miles Moran, for example, passed away many years ago, right? Contained in him, where I'm sure there will still be books contained in him. I'm sure that there were some projects they were currently working on before that plane crash, right? But if he's thinking, if like in heaven, right, if he's thinking about it, he might have some sort of, should I say, regret that, oh, I should have done this, right? But compared to the volume of work he's produced, the books, the transformation in videos, will he have that much regret like someone that did not achieve anything? No. So he achieved quite a lot. Look at the books he's written. Even some of us that are still alive can't make that kind of impact. So, although dead, yet speaketh. In his lifetime, he's been able to fulfill that scripture that spoke about Abel. That although dead, why yet he speaketh. So that's the kind of person that I want to become. Whereby I look back at my years when I'm 30, when I'm 40, when I'm 50, when I'm 60. And yes, there might be things that I want to achieve, but I don't have that total regret that, oh, I didn't achieve nothing. Increase the margin of your success. Guys, if you're already at 10%, increase to 15, 20, 30, 40%. There's always room for more. Like I said, the things I've mentioned, nobody's going to give you that control. You have to take the key, open the car and get into the steering wheel and drive that car to the point of destiny. The final point, if I can't see any question, is that time is more valuable than money. Money can be lost. No wonder it's called lifetime. Money can be lost, but can also be recovered. But you see, time when it's lost is hardly recovered. But the average person protects money more than time. So you must begin to ask yourself, right, what takes your attention daily? What consumes your energy? You see, these are resources that they deplete, but you cannot regain. You see, with money, you can regain money again. You can make money back, but you can't make time. You only spend time. You spend money, but you make money. But with time, you only spend time. You can't make time. You can't make energy. I think it's in physics that energy can never be created nor destroyed. You only spend energy. So your future is hidden in the daily usage of time. That's what we emphasized at yesterday's cohort. Time management. Productive things that you must do daily. Even if it's one, it's better to do something productive, one productive thing, than write 100 to-do lists and do nothing. I'm a big fan of you not writing anything and doing stuff than you writing and painting and designing on Canva and this and you have it on your dashboard, on your vision board and do nothing. You see, we deceive ourselves a lot in today's world. Everybody has a vision board. a vision map. But how many people are taking positive actions and decisions towards their goals? You see that, ladies and gentlemen? Am I making any sense this evening? Am I making any sense this evening? So that's the point. That's why it's called your lifetime, because the unit of destiny is time. Time is an important currency. You spend time. You pay attention. You see currencies in today's world. You pay attention. You spend time. No wonder you say you are spent, your energy has been depleted. But with money, yes, you spend money, but you can also make money, but you can't make time. And that's why I said there are types of time at the last webinar, right? There is preparation time, opportune time, and appointed time. There's that song we usually sing when we're young. Once opportunity is lost, it can scarcely or never be regained. So, guys, I want to leave you with, these tools that I've mentioned earlier on. You're better informed now that you don't need any permission to define your life, right? And there are many things that are going to be affecting a lot of people in today's world. And I've given you 3 stratas that you can begin to view life from. You must get involved in high-level thinking. Don't just think about now, about today, about the money, about your salary. Get interested in the scope of things going on in your world. There's a lot of agenda going on. Like the number one thing I told you about is the global inflation going on in our world today. Know a bit of what's going on. Trade markets, investment systems. What are the financial principles that are now unfolding in today's world, right? What are the rules that makes for wealth creation in today's world now? For example, unlike before, whereby it was mostly traditional means, for example, you work and earn a living. Now, from the comfort of your home, for example, creating the content, you can earn a living. That's a stream of income versus having to go out all day to toil and hustle. So global inflation, number one. Number two is the AI revolution coming. And number three is the immigration policies in different nations of the world. And if I want to even begin to niche down, I have many other things, but I don't know if you have the appetite to bear them. There's the religious conversation, spirituality. There's going to be a lot of changes in spirituality. The mode of worship is going to change. For example, in African, continent, where churches are being burnt down, people are being killed, there might be a revolution whereby people don't go to churches, they stream online. For example, the pandemic, people were forced to worship from home. So a church, for example, that emphasizes that, you can't worship God if you don't be in church. What did they do when there was COVID? Because there was a global lockdown. You must begin to think global as a citizen. You're in a global village, guys. You have to wake up. And the fifth one will be, pandemic. For example, there are rumors about pandemic in China. There's the Ebola outbreak in DRC Congo that is not spreading. And those are things you must be akin with. Then you can begin to niche it down to your different clusters, right? How does this affect me? Like I said, as an average young leader emerging, there are 2 things you need to pay attention to: general knowledge and specialist knowledge. Many of us have been skilled, have been trained in general knowledge. So we have gone to school to earn a master's degree, a bachelor's degree. We have a secondary school certificate, right? But in today's world, you see someone in Silicon Valley, just because he can code, nobody cares about that certificate on PMP or project management or Prince 2 that many of us now have spent thousands of dollars and pounds to get. Because, for example, now, Claude AI will produce code for you. What you just have to do as a software engineer is to do some, finishing touches to it. And now, many developers, for example, have to start focusing on not just front-end development, but full-stack development, both front-end and back-end. Now integrating AI. And I've told you that you need to focus on the specialist skills you need to build, right? Digital literacy. And AI literacy is really important. Know how to use a specialist tool or software together with your general knowledge. So for example, the social media manager, yes, your primary tools you use are CapCut, Canva, and all of those things and designs, right? But what are the AI tools that can enhance your operation, that can increase optimization that you can begin to use? That's what qualifies you to be the best among all other social media managers. Are you getting the point now? It's strategic, but we have to be able to do the work. You cannot just sit down and be crying and be praying. You start being strategic. I won't make it any sense this evening. Yes, Naomi has asked the question. Let's see Naomi's question. So she's asked that you made mention of rejection. You made mention of rejection is often redirection. How can one manage expectations and the time it takes to achieve one's goal? I think it's two things, right? I'm writing a book currently. I'm currently writing two books, right? One of it is on moving from raw talent to market value, right? And the second one is on quit mediocrity, goodbye mediocrity. And in the goodbye mediocrity book, I mentioned something that there's what we call cheap no and an expensive no. So what do I mean by cheap no versus expensive no? That's, as young people, many people are not aware to, or they're not in the knowing of what a cheap no is and what an expensive no is. I'll tell you what a cheap no is. A cheap no is, you try to open this door. For example, I try to push the door and it doesn't open. And I'm like, oh, I've tried all day to open the door. This door is not opening. But it just needed a bit of force. It needed me having the right key, even though there are a bunch of keys. It needed a bit of precision, a bit of discretion, a bit of intentionality to be able to do what? To open the door. If I leave that door and said, I can't open it, that's a cheap no because I didn't stretch. I didn't try enough. And that's what a lot of people do. They try a particular task. They launch a business. They don't scale it. They don't spend time. They don't invest in it. They don't push it. They're like, oh, it's not growing. But there's a certain time that there's a certain weight of investment you need to put for anything to work. Like a woman that gets pregnant, you don't just go to labor room in 1 month. It takes 9 months of different trimesters, right? Consistent appointments with the GP, to the midwife, then you have that breaking forth. So that's 9 months for gestation for a human being. That's same thing with business, with innovation. There must be that season of stretch, of investment, doing the same thing. But it gets to a point when it's 9 months, Naomi, right? And the baby does not come. You know there's a problem here. So you begin to set that expectation in terms of your research. For example, if I'm launching a business and, for example, it's taking me 5 years, for example, to even see a measure of growth after I've launched my MVP, I've launched a product or a service, that means something is wrong somewhere. Then that calls for an opportunity for redirection. That's where I now pivot to an expensive no. What's an expensive no? An expensive no is a no that it's obvious that this is not working, but because many of us are emotional and we are victims of sunk cost fallacy, we continue spending energy in investing in something that we know that can't work. And just to even come on a lighter note, the same thing with relationship. On the onset that it will not work after 6 months. You're like, oh, we have spent 6 months together. Let's just manage it. That's sunk cost fallacy. Having the foresight of failure, but still pressing on ahead just because of the reminder of experience of what you have invested before. So, for example, the guy comes to the door, right, and he's with the wrong keys, and it's obvious that the key is not entering into the hole, right, and he's still trying that all there. And if they ask him, say, I'm trying now, I'm trying. That's what the Bible said in Ecclesiastes 10 verse 15. The labor of the foolish wearies them, for they did not know how to get into the city. And that's why I mentioned, in fact, many of you guys were at the cohort yesterday. Those that were at the cohort to understand this scripture, right? In Proverbs 14 verse 23, Bible says something, and that's what people run with. In every labor, there's profit. That's what they tell you in church. Oh, labor. And the guy is laboring. But he didn't see that scripture that there's the knowing how to get into the city. Yes, labor as the first equation, as the first requirement, but there's also the knowledge of what kind of labor. You cannot be in the wrong place and labor and you will not get the results. So there's a difference between cheap no and an expensive no. A cheap no is a no that you did not push, you did not stretch, you did not commit yourself to it, you expected a return on what you didn't put yourself to, right? An expensive no is what you know that this based on the what is obvious, the outcome, the symptoms, there is no way you have to redirect, but you're just continuing being emotional, being a victim of sunk cost fallacy. Now to come to your question, how can one manage expectations and the time it takes to achieve one goal? You must always reevaluate those decisions. At every point in time, for example, at Prime Council, we always reevaluate what we are doing. Are we on the right track? So that it doesn't be that in the next 5 years, I'm like, oh, it took us 5 years to know that we're on the wrong track. That's sunk cost fallacy. That's too late. But you have that periodic review. That's why they have quarterly reviews, they have yearly reviews, they have monthly reviews to check that we're on track. So you must always check that you're on track, Naomi, with those goals and expectations, and look at the requirements. Because many people think what it takes, for example, to be a global citizen in today's world is what they needed last 10 years. It's different now. For example, you cannot talk about being a global citizen without having a social media platform or being visible. Last 10 years may not be because there was not the heartbeat of social media platforms, right? So there were different ways to become global. You have to be traveling on tours, isn't it? Now, just from your studio, many musicians now leverage on that. They release music and it gets to the ends of the earth. So you must always reevaluate the requirement and ensure that you are ticking those boxes on the requirements. Bible says something that if you do what is right, you get the results. Naomi, I hope I've been able to communicate that. So that constant revelation of the requirements, but also checking and having those reviews, right? Is this an expensive no or a cheap no? Has that helped so far, Naomi? Any questions? Any more questions? We could take one or two more questions. I can see Ifya Benis joined. Thank you very much for joining. Okay, great. Okay, is there any more questions before we round up this evening? Guys, I want to appreciate you very much for joining this live session. It means a lot. Even if it was one person that joined, I'll still be as passionate as this, because for me, it has become a way of life to just give value, whether it's to an audience of 100 or 1,000 or 1 million. I believe that, if anyone if anyone spends their time and attention to listening to you, then it's worth um delivering to them. I'd also have been able to deliver value. I've been able to share some life lessons that I've been through my own lived experience, and also borrowed experience from other people, from mentors, from trainings, from mentorship, and it's been able to help you and to continue to help you in your daily decisions, in you getting to that place of destiny Like I said, I believe in everyone that connects to our platform. I believe that you can make it, you can actualize your goals and potential, right? It only involves a consistent and deliberate effort, strategy, foresight thinking. And if you're ever confused and you need my help, you can book a one-to-one session with me or a vision clarity call with me. We have the cohort, which I think everyone, if you're not on the cohort, I think you should take part in the cohort. You can send me a DM or can send you your details. And it's very affordable, very, very affordable because our major focus, as much as we want to, we're a profit-based firm, where we're not a charity-based firm. What we believe in just impacting our world. We have a mandate to be able to raise and guide the next generation of leaders, and we believe that for everyone that joins us, contained in them is that seed and potential for leadership, for taking ownership and responsibility. But they need the right voices. They need in the right system to be able to have. And I just hope this session this evening has also contributed to your growth process. And I'm going to share next month's webinar, or this month's webinar, rather. So, Thursday, 25th of June, I'll be speaking on understanding the code of power, etiquette, and language. This is something you don't want to miss, right? Of course, for many of you that are part of the community, you know the webinars now are just opportunity for us to learn. So you're having that sort of orientation of the rules of the game. This is current knowledge, right? An average institution, even in churches, in schools, they won't teach this. But these are the things that work in today's world. It works. These are the things that work in today's world. Yes. So understanding the code of power, you must know how to relate with power. You must know how to access power. You must know how to be in power. You must know how to, receive power. Power is a major currency in today's world, because think about it, many people want money, right? But the fastest way to make money is to be in power. Yes. So I want to see you Thursday, 25th of June, 8 p.m. actually. 8 p.m. Yes, 8 p.m. We're live, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. But before then, if we don't catch up again, you see us on our content. I want you to like our contents, engage, comment, reshare with your friends and family. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for watching. We are sure you have been truly empowered and inspired to take the next step forward.
To connect with us, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at Prime Council for our video resources. And follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Prime Council _.
Prime Council, guiding next generation leaders.